Hercules is remembered as the strongest man who ever lived. That is the wrong thing to remember about him. The 12 labors were not a celebration of his strength. They were a punishment for the worst thing he ever did. And the gods who assigned them knew something we have forgotten, that the most dangerous person in the world is not the one without power. It is the one with power and without control. Before the lion skin, before the club, before any of it, there was a morning in Thebes when Hercules woke up inside a madness the goddess Hera had sent him. What he did in that madness, he did with his bare hands, with the same strength that would later kill monsters and carry the sky. When the madness passed, his wife Megara was dead. His children were dead. He had killed them himself and remembered none of it. This is where the story actually begins, not with a hero, with a man standing in the wreckage of everything he loved, holding hands that had done something he could never undo. He went to the oracle at Delphi, the sacred site where Greeks believed the god Apollo spoke through a priestess, and asked what he had to do. The oracle's answer was precise and merciless. Go to your cousin Eurystheus, king of Mycenae. Serve him for 12 years. Complete whatever tasks he assigns. Only then will you be purified. Only then will you be worthy of the immortality the gods intend for you. Eurystheus was everything Hercules was not. Small, fearful, politically shrewd, terrified of Hercules his entire life. There was a reason for his fear. By rights of birth, Hercules should have been king. Hera herself had intervened at his birth to ensure Eurystheus took the throne instead. Now the same goddess who had stolen Hercules' birthright had driven him mad and handed him to the one man alive who had every reason to want him destroyed. The tasks Eurystheus designed were not chores. They were meant to be fatal. The first labor was the Nemean Lion. This was not an ordinary lion. Its hide was impenetrable. No weapon made by human hands could pierce it. Hercules arrived in Nemea and discovered this immediately. His arrows bounced off. His sword bent. His spear shattered. What he did instead tells you everything about what kind of man he was. He waited for the lion to return to its cave, blocked one entrance, and wrestled it with his hands. He strangled it. And then, because no blade could cut the lion's skin, he used the lion's own claws to skin it. He wore that skin for the rest of his life, not as a trophy, as armor that nothing could pierce, made from the one thing that had almost killed him. The second labor was the Lernaean Hydra, a water serpent with multiple heads. Ancient sources disagree on the exact number, ranging from 5 to 9, with a specific and maddening property. Cut off one head and 2 grew back in its place. Hercules arrived with his nephew Iolaus and began cutting. The heads multiplied. For every advance, he fell further behind. The solution was Iolaus's idea. Immediately after each cut, cauterize the stump with fire. No stump, no regeneration. The last head was immortal and could not be killed. Hercules buried it under a boulder. He also dipped his arrows in the Hydra's poisonous blood. Those poisoned arrows would matter again, years later, in a way he did not foresee. The third labor was the Ceryneian Hind, a golden-horned deer sacred to the goddess Artemis. Killing it was forbidden. Hercules had to capture it alive. He pursued it for a full year across Greece before finally catching it without drawing blood. When Eurystheus sent him, he expected Hercules to either kill the sacred animal and offend Artemis, or fail and be humiliated. Instead, Hercules found a third option: patience. 1 year of running. The fourth labor was the Erymanthian boar, a massive destructive animal terrorizing the region. Hercules chased it through deep snow until it exhausted itself, then bound it and brought it back alive. When Hercules returned carrying the living boar to the palace gates, Eurystheus was so frightened he hid inside a large bronze storage jar. He directed the remaining labors from inside that jar. The most powerful man in the world reporting to a man hiding in a pot. The fifth labor was the Augean stables. King Augeas kept thousands of divine cattle, and their stables had not been cleaned in 30 years. The amount of waste accumulated was beyond any normal calculation. Eurystheus chose this task specifically to humiliate Hercules, to take the greatest hero alive and assign him to clean dung. Hercules diverted 2 rivers, the Alpheus and the Peneus, and flooded the stables clean in a single day. He completed it in hours without touching a shovel. The task designed to humiliate him became the one that demonstrated the most creative intelligence. The sixth labor was the Stymphalian birds, a flock of man-eating birds with metallic feathers sharp enough to pierce armor, roosting in a swamp around Lake Stymphalos. They could not be approached without being killed by the falling feathers. Hercules used bronze castanets, a noise-making instrument given to him by the goddess Athena, to drive them from the trees into the air, where he shot them with his Hydra poisoned arrows. Intelligence again, not strength. The seventh labor was the Cretan bull, a massive, fire-breathing bull rampaging across Crete. Hercules crossed the sea, captured it with his bare hands, brought it back to Eurystheus, and released it. It eventually made its way to the plain of Marathon, where it became known as the Marathonian bull, the same bull later killed by the hero Theseus. The eighth labor was the mares of Diomedes, 4 horses belonging to the Thracian king Diomedes, trained to eat human flesh. Diomedes fed his guests to the horses. Hercules killed Diomedes and fed him to his own horses. When they had eaten their owner, they calmed and were easily led away. The symmetry of the solution was not accidental. The ninth labor was the girdle of Hippolyta, the belt of the Amazon queen, given to her by the war god Ares as a symbol of her authority. Hercules sailed to the Amazon lands. Hippolyta, according to several ancient sources, was willing to give the girdle peacefully. She admired Hercules. But Hera intervened, spreading a rumor among the Amazons that Hercules intended to kidnap their queen. A battle broke out. Hercules killed Hippolyta and took the girdle. It was the only labor where the peaceful solution was available and taken from him. He completed it, but not the way he intended. The 10th labor was the cattle of Geryon. Geryon was a 3-bodied giant living on the island of Erythea at the western edge of the known world. To reach him, Hercules had to sail to the ends of the earth. At the boundary between Europe and Africa, he erected 2 massive stone pillars. The Pillars of Hercules, known today as the Strait of Gibraltar, marking the edge of the known world. He killed Geryon, took the cattle, and spent months driving them back across Europe. The journey home was longer and more difficult than the labor itself. The 11th labor was the apples of the Hesperides, golden apples from a tree guarded by a serpent and the daughters of Atlas at the western edge of the world. To reach them, Hercules held up the sky, the weight that the Titan Atlas had been condemned to carry since the War of the Gods, while Atlas retrieved the apples. Atlas, free of the sky for the first time in an eternity, suggested he would deliver the apples himself and Hercules could simply keep holding the sky. Hercules agreed, then asked Atlas to take it back for just a moment while he adjusted his grip. Atlas resumed the burden. Hercules took the apples and walked away. The trick worked because Hercules understood that Atlas wanted to believe it could work, wanted the sky off his shoulders badly enough to be fooled by a simple request for a moment's relief. The 12th and final labor was the hardest. Eurystheus sent Hercules to the Underworld to capture Cerberus, the 3-headed dog who guarded the entrance to the land of the dead. Not to kill it, to bring it back alive. No labor required Hercules to go further from the world of the living. He descended, found Cerberus, wrestled all 3 heads simultaneously without weapons because Hades set that condition, and carried the dog back to the surface. Eurystheus, confronted with Cerberus at his gates, ordered it returned immediately. Hercules went back to the underworld and brought the dog home. He had completed the task designed to be impossible by simply doing it, and then doing the return journey that Eurystheus had not even thought to make impossible. 12 labors, 12 years, 12 things that were supposed to kill him. When the last labor was done, the purification was complete. The crime was paid for. The oracle's sentence was fulfilled. Hercules was declared free. But here's what that word meant. He was free of the guilt. He was free of the sentence. He was not free of what had happened. He still knew in every waking hour what his hands had done on that morning in Thebes before any of the labors began. The 12 labors did not erase that. They never could. They were not designed to make him forget. They were designed to make him worthy of carrying it. You already know this feeling in a smaller form. You have done something you cannot undo and tried to compensate with action, with work, with effort, with doing enough good things that the one bad thing becomes survivable. You know that it does not work the way you hope it will work. The labor does not erase the crime. It transforms the person carrying it. Hercules was not made great by his strength. Strength was the thing he was born with, and strength was the thing that destroyed his family. He was made great by what he built over 12 years of impossible tasks with those same hands, a record of what a person can become when they choose to direct their power towards something other than themselves. The lionskin was not a trophy. The 12 labors were not glory. They were 12 years of a man trying to become worthy of the life he had accidentally been given and the death he had accidentally caused. The gods called it punishment. History called it glory. Hercules called it what it was, not enough and the only thing available.